Okay, welcome everyone. Oh, ready? Okay, we'll call this meeting of the Legislative Committee for the Washington State Building Code Council. I'm Todd Byruther. I'm honored to serve as a chair, but closely with Doug, I hope. Doug, are you officially vice chair?
I think so, but I can't recall.
Okay.
Yes.
I think so too. Just a heads up, I am operating on a generator and internet's in and out. So if we go off, then please feel free to grab hold of it.
Todd,
Okay,
would you like me to take roll?
Yes, please.
All right. So Todd, chair.
Yes.
Doug Orth, vice chair.
Present.
Diane Glenn, council chair. Andrew Klein, chair of the BFP committee.
Here.
Chell Anderson, MBE committee chair. And Phil Lemley.
Present.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 out of 6. So that's not a quorum.
Okay.
That's normal.
We have 4. Wait a minute.
How do you get 4?
Todd, Doug, Andrew, and Phil?
Todd, Doug. Oh, I put Andrew down. Man, I put Andrew down as missing. So
Well,
Doug, you now have to take
hear me
back the
okay?
figures. Okay, we do have a quorum.
Okay.
Richard, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, I now have to ask who was that asked.
Andrew.
All right, thank you, Andrew.
Oh, yeah, it was Andrew, since you marked me down as absent. I wanted to make sure you heard my ear.
And there's
Well,
Diane.
and we now have Diane.
Okay.
So we
perfect.
really and Chell had given me a heads up that he had a conflict.
And Diane, you're muted.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Richard, is it customary in this committee, or Doug, to ask for anyone else who wants to be recognized?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, typically. Yeah.
Let's do that now, then, please. Would anyone like to be recognized on the phone or on the Zoom?
Well, I'll go first. This is Terry Beals from Sound Transit. Good to be with all of you this morning. It's been a while.
Greetings. Thank you.
Kevin Duell with Northwest Natural, my first time attending.
Could you please repeat that in really loud?
Sorry, this is Kevin Duell with Northwest Natural, and it's my first time attending.
Welcome.
This is Dan Wildenhouse with Better Built Northwest, interested third party, just here to listen.
Dan.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, Dan. Long time. So, hey, Todd.
Yes.
This is Diane.
Greetings.
I'm on my phone sitting in front of a job site, which it seemed to be working okay. But I'm only going to stay on for just a little while. I just wanted to show my support.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else like to be recognized? Okay. Hearing none. Our second agenda item would be to review and approve this agenda. Can I hear a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Motion.
Okay, heard a motion and a second. Thank
Second.
you. Any comment? Okay, by voice, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? So approved. Thank you. Agenda item 3, we normally would review minutes. We don't have any minutes as a first meeting. Agenda item 4 would be our legislative update. Richard, do you lead that, and who in the future is going to? Stoyan?
Everybody's going,
I can try. Good.
Mr. Chair, could I butt in here for just a second?
Anytime, please.
Since Diane is not going to be with us for very long, I'd like to put a bug in her ear. It's an issue that's been in front of this legislative committee many times over the past several years, and that is that essentially this committee, while we're all great, wonderful people, I'm sure, based on our current rules of engagement from the council at large, we don't have any ability of power authority to do anything other than report back to the council. And because of the timing of the legislative actions, that makes this committee oftentimes somewhat irrelevant. So I just like to put a bug in Diane's ear, and now Stoyan, I was going to say Richard, but Stoyan's ear, that maybe we can have that conversation at the next council meeting in February.
Thank you, Doug. And last year, I seem to remember the council did take action on that. Is that correct?
We've discussed it off and on several times, but there was one or two council members that had a particular problem with authorizing this committee to do anything other than report back. And I think those folks may no longer be on the council. So.
Okay, thank you.
Todd, this is Richard. You are correct that this did come up last year. And last year, the council elected to only allow the full council to make decisions regarding the council's position on bills.
Yeah, I seem to remember that also. Thank you. Do we have enough time before the next full council meeting, or will we lose too much a session? And is there any mechanism to address that?
That's a council decision completely, but being the pragmatist I am, let's wait and see if there's actually a hot issue, and if there is, then we can act on that.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
this is
please.
Diane, and I would say that let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and put it on the agenda for the next council meeting, and we'll just have to do it that way, and hopefully it's timely enough.
Okay. Thank you, Council Chair. Okay, back to the legislative update. Did I hear Stoyan was going to offer it?
I can try, and Richard will be helping me if I get stuck with something. I'm a first timer, so be patient with me. And what I want to start with, I'm having a hard time to look the tracking clock, you see on the screen. So I have bigger monitor, and if I don't want you to think that I'm watching airplanes or something, it's just my monitor on the left. Okay, so I apologize for that. And you see the bill tracking clock, and I have to say that Krista did a great job with the description. The original one was kind of ugly, but the description is very detailed and explains what the bill is about. So I'm not sure what is the better way to go through each bill, or I have 3 outlined here that I think are important. Richard may help me on that. What is the standard practice? Should I go through each one, or just the important ones?
That would be up to Todd.
And we can leave it to input from the whole committee, but I would prefer, like we did last year, especially this first time, to go through each one at least as an introduction, and then as we move forward through the session, if we need to isolate out, then we can. Anyone else have any input from the committee?
I like that.
Thank you. Okay, so yes, if we could start at the top, please.
Okay, HB 1050. You see the title, you see the sponsor. I'm not going to cover that. You see the description. We have it. We will monitor the bill, and although the council is stated there, we don't have many requirements. So for this time, we will continue to monitor the bill, but at this time we have nothing else to add to it. And the next one, 1084, it has a companion bill in the Senate, 5093. This one seems more important because it, for us and for the building industry, because it changes the effective date in the statute. It was 2030, and it proposes to change it to 2027. So we have to do the work 3 years earlier. It doesn't have any fiscal impact because it's a standard business that the council is doing, but it needs to be done 3 years earlier. So this is the important part in this bill. The next one.
Diane, this is Richard, if I could interject. When we talk about the fiscal impact, we're talking about the fiscal impact on the State Building Code Council conducting their work, not a fiscal impact on our stakeholders.
Yes, sorry, I had to clarify that.
Can we talk about that one for just a second?
Please.
It would seem like that the legislature would be interested in council feedback and information as to how this affects the building industry. It's the 2031 or 2030, excuse me, the 2030 schedule. I think we've all recognized for a while that we've plucked off all of the low hanging fruit, so to speak, in the energy code. And now to advance that 70% reduction by prescriptive code by reduce it by 3 years. That's going to have a huge impact. Huge impact. So maybe not as a fiscal impact to the council itself, but even I'm not even so sure that's accurate. I would have to believe to really accomplish that, we're going to have to engage outside consultants to help figure out how to do that. And I, for one, wouldn't be comfortable in just simply leaving it to volunteers on the tag. But that's a full council decision. But anyway, this has big implications. So,
Doug, this is Todd. Is this something that you would propose that we would propose to the chair to put on the agenda for next council meeting?
oh, absolutely.
In addition to the energy tag?
Yeah, I mean, I would like, Chell is the chairman of the energy tag to I would like to see have some feedback and have some understanding as a council what this means and how, what the potential pathways are to accomplish this. My private opinion has been that even as we had it before, by 2030, was it 2030 or 2031 previously?
I think it was 30, and then last year, didn't they add a year due to the pandemic, is my memory, is that correct? And now this strikes that.
There was one. I'm sorry to jump in. There was 1 year difference between the adoption date, the effective date, and the date when the council needed to issue the report.
Yeah, the report came in 2030, and the effective date was 2031, July of 2031, as I recall. So anyway, my private opinion has been for a while that for us to be able to accomplish that and without having draconian effects on the industry is going to be through technology. I'd like to hear some more learned opinions about that. And if and when the legislature asks for our way in, if they do, I'd like to be prepared to do that as a council.
Mr. Chair, this is Diane.
Please.
Yes, I agree with Doug. This was a struggle last code cycle to get to the point where we're meeting our goals, and which we did, but it came with a lot of hard work and a lot of hours of volunteer time. To advance that date is just going to put a lot of pressure on, and it will impact the council fiscally, because we're just going to ask a lot more of volunteers. And yet, like Doug said, we may have to go to the outside to hire somebody to help, because this is a hard pill.
It is. Yes, it is.
And I'd like to add, I also would enjoy a little more description on tier 2, tier 3 commercial. And I don't know if that would be a commerce, description for us, but as I know, they're developing this year. Is that correct? The first commercial code, energy code? I
believe that's correct. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, this isn't just residential, it's commercial and residential both.
But I just see the new additions of the tier 2, tier 3 definitions is my understanding here.
Okay. All right.
Anything else from the committee? I agree, Doug and Council Chair. Okay, so the action there is to first reach out to Chell, is that correct? In addition to staff direction?
Yeah, I think so. And then maybe have it be an agenda item in our next council meeting.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Stoyan, you want to continue?
Yes, and before I move to the next one, I have a clarifying question. Do you need the staff to provide you with a breakdown for the new requirements? There are some new mandates. It's not only the year. They're not that drastic, but as you said, tier 1, tier 2, these are 2 new terms and 2 new definitions that I'm not sure if you guys need more information on that, or you are familiar with the proposed bill.
I think a general introduction for the whole council is going to be probably necessary, right? And then I also seem to remember that the zero fossil fuel emissions were moved up, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to see kind of a staff analysis of the high points of this bill. And I know these bills, it's early days on the thing, and it very likely will evolve over the next few weeks. But I think it's just going to have a big impact on the council and how we manage this next cycle.
And I haven't seen Environment and Energy workshop it yet, but I've been watching out for it.
Okay.
I don't believe.
There is a hearing next week, I believe,
Okay.
and we will have a little bit more information on that bill.
Okay, thank you.
HB 1103, this is related to building materials, and it has some connection to the building codes, but on the original analysis, we didn't find anything that will affect the building code council.
If I may jump in on that, just because this one's pretty close to manufacturing and my expertise. This is a carryover from last year in capital budget. It's the primary piece here is to establish a requirement for environmental product declarations. So while that's not technically code, to mandate it and provide assistance for that is of importance, especially across, I mean, in timber, but also across all materials. It's really driven from the concrete side too. So this is close tie to UW and the carbon forum. So I think it is an important one to monitor, but I agree. I'm not quite sure on how it weaves into the actual, building code.
We decided to monitor the bill just in case if something gets added to the bill that may affect the building codes, but it's not a high priority. The next one, I'm sure you will like. It's HB 1150. It's related to the building code council membership. And what it does, using editorial modifications to the bill, it's adding 4 legislative members as voting members. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with this bill because it was introduced last year, last session, and it reads almost the same with very minor changes.
I would like to provide feedback to the legislature on this one. So obviously, I choose not to have an opinion one way or the other about adding voting rights to those legislative council members. I think that's fine, actually. But my concern is that they not be counted against a quorum, because if they're counted against a quorum and they don't attend, which is often the case, then we could be left in a position where we can't take action because we're missing a quorum. Does that make sense?
Mr. Chair, this is Diane. I totally agree with that. And I kind of go back and forth on this, but one issue that I have with this is that they don't participate regularly. So they're really not up to speed a lot of times. And then they step into a meeting and then have the ability to vote, being uninformed. And that part I object to. But I do think we should monitor this because it will have an impact.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not as familiar at the state level, but at the local level, this seems like a conflict, right? To have voting rights in here and then ultimately on final passage, or is there precedent for this? And not taking a stance for or against, just.
Well,
I
think I'm aware of the genesis of this. When Representative Hoff came on, what, 2 years ago, last year, 2 years ago, I was chair. We met with him, and one of the first things we're explaining, I think Richard and I were in his office, and we're explaining the system and the process. He was taken aback that ex officio members didn't have voting rights. They have ability to make motions, but not to vote, and that just seemed incongruous to his understanding of how things should work. And like I say, I don't really have. I'm sympathetic to the notion that people who aren't regularly part of the process may not be fully informed, but they have staff and other things. My real concern is being hogtied, so to speak, without being able to reach forum on things that may be a critical vote.
Okay. Any other input? Stoyan, please.
You want me to continue?
Sure, please.
Okay. The next one is HB 1157. It's related to the housing supply. And it's intended, well, the intent is to increase the housing supply through Growth Management Act. I mean, it's a low priority. This is how we analyze the bill, as low priority, but we will continue to monitor the bill if for potential changes that may affect our work. But for now, there is nothing that will affect the Building Code Council or the building codes.
Sorry to keep commenting on this, but my going through this, I mean, it's pretty substantial from a growth management standpoint. You know, it's striking a lot of the single family not definitions, but references, and maybe, you know, really reinforcing 2s, 3s, 4s, especially maybe 6s. But I'll be curious just on the energy standpoint of whether some of the prescriptive measures come into play here when we talk more about duplexes and, you know, triplexes and quads and so forth. So I just want to put that out there. I'd be curious what the TAG has any input, since single family, the prescriptive measures in single family and the IRC, you know, we're not contentious, but we're definitely, you know, a point of discussion as we develop the last step.
The next one, HB 1180, it's related to the public testimony, and what the bill does specifies and clarifies exactly what the Code Council and other public agencies are doing, allowing agencies to hold virtual meetings and requiring time at every meeting for public testimony. It's a prescriptive approach. It describes what the public agencies, including the Code Council, are required and allowed to do, but there is nothing that we currently are not doing. So I would say I'm new with this, but the council was proactive, and you know, the bylaws and the laws and regulations, how it's written and what the council is doing. I don't think this bill is adding something new. It just specifies and puts everything in the law. So we will monitor the bill. When I say we, the staff, we'll monitor the bill for something that may affect the council business and everyday work. But for now, it's just we consider this as specifying, clarifying bill. The next one, SB 5126, the Climate Commitment Act. I'm sure most of you are more familiar than me with the Washington Climate Commitment Act. I tried to read everything in detail. Didn't see anything that will directly impact the Building Council, but we again will continue to monitor this bill. We have two bills that were assigned to us, HB 1192 and SB 5221. The first one is technical corrections. There is nothing currently. However, it includes some corrections in a law that is in 19.27. So we will continue to monitor the bill just in case, but currently there is nothing related to the Code Council business. And 5221 is accessory dwelling units. It's mostly related to planning and zoning regulations, nothing for the building codes. However, these ADU regulations sometimes jump back and forth between building, planning, and zoning. So this is the other one that we will monitor. At this time, it's nothing related to the building council, the building code council, but we'll continue to follow the bill. And it was I would say, an easy week. So this is what we have for now. We're expecting more, not next week, but the week after the next.
Okay, thank you. Any committee or staff comments, further comments or questions? Remind me, we don't take formal action on any of this. This is strictly an update, correct?
Exactly. It goes back to, we don't have the authorization by council to take any action other than report back to council.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, Todd,
Yes,
this is
please.
Diane. And yes, so for information purposes at the next council meeting, we'll take up that one specific issue, but on the agenda, but as far as legislative report, so you'll just report what came out of the committee as far as status.
Yeah, okay. And that's typically an agenda item anyway, right? During session for the whole
Yes.
council? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Hearing nothing else on a legislative update, is there any other business? Agenda item 5.
Todd, I just want to thank you for chairing this. And it'll be a fun year.
I agree. Thank you. And thank you, Doug, for.
Yes. Thank you for taking the reins.
Okay.
One other quick thing is.
Yes, please.
Richard, how many more of these legislative committees will you be involved with? 1 or 2?
I'm not gonna die, you know.
No, I know it, but you're riding off into the sunset. So
2 more, the 22nd and the 29th.
All right, well, we'll save our goodbyes till later then. So.
I've been telling everybody I'm not going off into the sunset, I'm going off into the fog.
Well, that's always been there, but never mind about that. So
Thanks, Doug.
if I didn't like you, I couldn't make jokes, right?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. With that, I think we can adjourn.
All right.
Everyone
See you
stay
next week.
safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.